Hey all, it's Fox. Today I want to talk about love and how a growing body of evidence suggests it's much more powerful than we tend to give it credit for. We think of love as a feeling, fleeting, poetic, and chemical. But what if it's more than that? What if love is a force, something real, measurable, and maybe even fundamental to the structure of reality itself? Science often treats love as a byproduct of brain chemistry, a convenient mix of oxytocin, dopamine, and social conditioning. A biological trick to help us bond, reproduce, and keep the species going. But over the past few decades, research has quietly begun to hint at something deeper, something far stranger. There is growing evidence that love doesn't just feel powerful, it is powerful. It impacts our bodies, our minds, and even possibly our connection to others in ways we can't yet explain. And if you follow the rabbit hole far enough, you begin to wonder whether love is more than just an emotion. Maybe it's the glue that holds everything together. Maybe, just maybe, it's the universe's most primal language. Love is good for you in ways we're still discovering. Let's start with what we can measure. Studies from Harvard, Stanford, and dozens of health journals show that people in loving relationships, romantic, family, or even strong friendships tend to live longer. They recover from surgery faster, they get sick less often, their hearts are healthier, their immune systems are stronger. And it's not just about feeling supported. Love appears to affect the nervous system directly, regulating blood pressure, calming stress responses, and even changing the way our brains function under fear or trauma. The HeartMath Institute has gone a step further, studying how emotional states like love or gratitude can alter the heart's electromagnetic field. According to their research, when a person enters a coherent emotional state, typically associated with love, compassion, or appreciation, the heart's rhythm becomes more ordered. This coherence, they claim, has a measurable impact not only on the body but also on the environment around the person. It sounds wild, but it's backed by sensors and data. When subjects focus on feelings of love or connection, their bodies shift into a state that appears to promote healing and even cognitive clarity. And this shift can apparently affect others in close proximity, even when no words are exchanged, which leads us into even stranger territory. Love, consciousness, and collective energy. One of the most bizarre but persistent pieces of research into the unseen effects of human emotion comes from Princeton's Global Consciousness Project. Since the 1990s, they've tracked random number generators (RNGs) placed around the world, devices designed to spit out data that is by definition meaningless noise. But during moments of intense global emotion, think 9/11, Princess Diana's death, New Year's Eve, the data gets weird. The RNGs become less random, something appears to be creating a subtle order in the chaos. Is it just coincidence? Could mass emotional events, collective grief, collective joy, collective love, be affecting physical systems? We don't know for sure, but it hints at a field of consciousness that may be more than just metaphor, a kind of emotional gravity shaping reality in ways we don't yet understand. Love as a binding force in physics? In recent years, some fringe physicists and philosophers have started asking a bold question. If gravity and electromagnetism are forces that structure matter, what if love is a force that structures consciousness? Quantum physics already defines logic. Particles entangle across space and time, observation changes outcomes. Consciousness seems to be inextricably linked with what we call reality. Some researchers now speculate that entanglement, the instant connection between particles across distance, may not be limited to the quantum world. Could human beings be entangled, not just emotionally but energetically? This is where love reappears, not as a feeling but as a function. A field, a pattern of coherence, something that links individuals in ways science is only beginning to suspect. And here's where it gets even more profound. Autism, telepathy, and the mystery of love. Among the many uncharted areas of consciousness is the inner world of those with autism, especially nonverbal individuals. These people who in many cases don't communicate with words but who often display uncanny sensitivity to emotions, presence, and unspoken intention. Parents of nonverbal autistic children have long reported what seems like telepathic moments. A child who senses a parent's anxiety from another room, a sudden shift in behavior when someone feels sad or scared, entire conversations that seem to happen without words, just looks, feelings, and resonance. Of course, mainstream science dismisses this as anecdotal. But when you consider that many nonverbal autistics process information differently, sometimes more intuitively than analytically, it's worth asking, What if love is the bridge? What if love allows for a kind of energetic communication that bypasses language? Something that flows not through words but through connection, through shared emotional fields, coherence, resonance. Could it be that those who don't rely on spoken language, who instead dwell in deep sensory and emotional words, are closer to that raw signal? And if love is the signal, maybe they're tuned into a frequency the rest of us forgot how to hear. This doesn't mean everyone with autism is telepathic, it doesn't mean love is magic, but it opens a door, a small, bright crack in our understanding that suggests love isn't just a social nicety, it might be infrastructure. Living the frequency of love. If love really is more than just a chemical, if it's a frequency, a field, or even a kind of consciousness, then it stands to reason that we can tune into it. Not just in the poetic sense, but in ways that physically shift how we feel, how we heal, and how we connect to others. And there's growing evidence to support that. HeartMath has found that when people intentionally focus on feelings of appreciation, compassion, or love for as little as 3 minutes a day, their nervous systems become more coherent. Stress hormones drop, sleep improves, and in some studies even cognitive function increases. Love, in other words, might be trainable. But it doesn't stop with biofeedback. Consider the ripple effect of love in action. Random acts of kindness, holding the door, a gentle word, helping someone without expectation, have been shown to boost the giver's mood as much as the receiver's. And observers, the people who just witness the kindness, often get a boost too. Psychologists call this the elevation effect. It's contagious. Now imagine that on a larger scale, imagine millions of people, even for brief moments, deliberately choosing to radiate love instead of fear, empathy instead of outrage. If love truly has a field effect, even a small change in collective emotion could tip something big, maybe even steer the course of events. And maybe that's the secret. Maybe love isn't about dramatic declarations or perfect relationships. Maybe it's about frequency, about choosing moment by moment to tune into something deeper, something true, something universal. Whether we call it science, spirit, or soul, love may be the real signal we've been waiting for. What if love is the substrate? In 1973, Carl Sagan famously said, "If you wish to make an apple pie from scratch, you must first invent the universe." But what if the universe didn't start with atoms, gravity, or even energy? What if it started with something even more elemental? What if it started with love? It sounds poetic, maybe even spiritual, but there's a growing body of thought that suggests this might not be a metaphor, it might be physics. Right now, science recognizes 4 fundamental forces: gravity, electromagnetism, the strong nuclear force, and the weak nuclear force. These are the invisible structures that shape everything, the reason stars burn, planets orbit, and atoms hold together. But here's the strange thing. We still don't truly understand how gravity works. We can measure it, we can calculate its effects, but we don't know what causes it. It's a force without a particle. It just is. Now imagine that love works the same way. What if love, like gravity, is a force that pulls things together, not objects but consciousness? Not in the sentimental way we talk about in rom-coms, but as a literal, attractive field. A kind of emotional gravity that draws beings into connection, coherence, and unity. Consider this: gravity is weak compared to other forces, yet its reach is infinite. It binds galaxies, shapes the fabric of space-time, and curves the trajectory of light. Maybe love too is subtle but far-reaching. Maybe it's not loud or explosive like electromagnetic radiation. It doesn't flash or burn, but it binds us just as profoundly, in ways we haven't figured out how to detect. Some theoretical physicists have even begun to question whether consciousness itself plays a role in shaping the universe, whether awareness has a physical influence on reality. If that's true, and if love is the highest form of coherent consciousness, then love might not just be part of the universe, it might be the underlying geometry of it. Think of it like this: gravity shapes matter, electromagnetism shapes charge. Could love shape meaning? Could it be the force that gives the universe direction, not just physically, but emotionally, spiritually, even cosmically? This would help explain the inexplicable drive of life toward connection. How atoms form molecules, molecules form cells, and cells form beings that seek one another, not just to survive, but to know and be known. Why do we create art? Why do we sacrifice for others? Why do we ache when someone else is in pain? Because we are bound, not just biologically, but gravitationally by something deeper. And if love is that force, if it's woven into the fabric of existence, then every act of connection, every moment of empathy, every shared heartbeat might be in alignment with the most ancient law of all. Not survival, not dominance, but union, a merging, a remembering, a force so quiet we mistook it for a feeling. But it might just be the very foundation of everything. We've been taught that love is soft, that it's personal, that it lives in hearts and songs and sitcoms. But the more we look at it, from neuroscience to physics to the mysteries of consciousness, the more it seems like we've underestimated it. Love may not just be a product of evolution, it might be the architect. So when we say love heals, maybe we're speaking more literally than we know. Maybe love doesn't just comfort us when we're broken, it rebuilds us, realigns us, reminds us that we are not alone in the void. And maybe, just maybe, love isn't just part of life, maybe love is life. That's all for today. If you enjoy my content, please give me a thumbs up, subscribe, leave a comment, and share it with a friend. I appreciate your support, and we'll see you next time.